Hey guys, this is Fady from Heartbeat Productions and welcome to another video. In today's video, we'll be talking about the new plugin from Oeksound, Bloom. If any of you have been using any of the previous stuff released from Oeksound, like Soothe, which is a very famous plugin that all of us use a lot of times in the studio, so Bloom is their new plugin, which is absolutely incredible. So I want to dive into that plugin, features, set, how to use it, and we'll run some samples and tests on one of the sessions that I have right here. So let's dig in. You guys can see here I have a session and I have the plugin in there. So let's kind of talk about basic controls and then we'll dig in a little bit deeper as we start to apply it on different instruments. This is what the plugins look like. You got the amount, how much you're applying. And then once you pass that level and it goes into squash, it starts to apply compression as well. Attack and release, how fast it's responding and how long it's holding it. Quality of the plugin, you got normal, high, and low latency. They also have a stereo mode, mid-side mode, and split left and right mode. This has to do with gain staging for the compression side, so how adjusting the gain going into the compression. Mix button, output, bypass, and then you got 4-band controls over the plugin. What does the plugin do? So let's kind of explain a little bit. Similar to Soothe, they're using a lot of their algorithms and technology to apply a little bit of EQ or a lot, depending on how you choose, on your instrument or vocals or mix or whatever. And the difference is not just like a specific band that is boosted a couple dBs. It works kind of like a dynamic EQ in a way, but it's very responsive to the signal and it adjusts up and down according to the source that is receiving, and it uses whatever algorithms that Oeksound is using. So it's very intuitive. It changes along the way with you as you go, and it only gives you exactly what you need in those moments, which I love that about it. So when we go back in here, you can see if I play this track right here. So let me just play that real quick. So got a drum track in here. So you see these waves moving down here at the bottom, which is basically the purple part, that's the actual frequencies, and the curves going up and down, it's Bloom creating dips or cutting frequencies and adding frequencies according to the settings that I have. And you can see even these frequencies being added and cut, they're changing along the way. I'm going to play it again here and I'm going to bypass it on and off. So you can see that it is boosting a little bit in 500. It's also boosting all the way down in the subs. And then it's cutting around 4K, but it's changing. Even the frequencies that it's cutting is changing along the way. And then adding a little bit about 20K. Right here, you have two controls. And I want to go through all the controls first so we understand it, and then we start applying it into instruments. You got this, and you got this, and then the same on this side. So the first one, it's only adjusting Bloom's response. So if I don't want Bloom to touch my kick or any of those subharmonics, I will just grab this. And you're still hearing the full frequency, but Bloom now will only start affecting starting at 110 all the way to 16K. So you can see it stopped boosting that low end that was doing earlier. That is not happening anymore. Now, this is a complete high pass and low pass for the track itself. So okay, now the bands, you have 4 bands, low, low mids, high mids, and highs. You can adjust, and it's very, very simple controls. You're going to grab the band, you can turn it up or down, and then left and right, and you can see the frequencies changing. So for example, if I want to give that kick a boost at 90 Hertz, so I'm going to adjust this to 90, and I'm going to turn this, let's flatten everything else for now. And let's boost that at 90. So this is the entire drum bus, but I want the 90 hertz in that kit, the whole kit. I want to give that a little bit of a push. So this is showing the frequency down from 20 up to 90. So it's like that band, the full band, not just the 90 hertz. Okay. Why do I love this? So let's pick that drum kit and let's kind of work on it a little bit. I want to give it a little bit of a beef, and I actually want to do that down at 60. And then the low mids, I want to clean it up a little bit, and I'm going to leave those flat. Just by making those two simple changes, I kind of like what it is. And I like also that it is subtle and it's not like drastic change. I don't like plugins that take something and completely change what it sounds like. I want to be in control of my mix. Surprisingly, even if I have this turned all the way, so I'm not actually boosting or adding anything right now on those bands, and I just have Bloom on, and I'm adjusting the amount, Bloom is already scanning the signal and making some adjustments based on what it's receiving. So watch what's going to happen here. So I'm going to turn it all the way off. So it's already scanning what is being played, and it's already making adjustments. Some is being carved and some is being boosted, and it's changing along the track depending on it's being played, which is absolutely genius. It's like a very simple, quick way to fix something real quick. Okay, now let's say I want to make this drum. I want to add a punch to the drum. I want to add some top end brightness to the drum, but I don't want it to stay there for the whole track. So this is where Bloom would work. So I'm going to grab that low end, and like we talked about, around maybe all the way down to 70, and I'll boost that a little bit. I want to clean up some of the low mids, and then I want to boost a little bit past 5K to kind of give that snare a little bit of a crisp. All right, here you go. I think you can already hear the difference. It's tighter, it's cleaner, it's less mud. That low mid, cleaning a little bit of that low mid really helped a lot. Now let's push it past to the squash, and it starts to apply actual compression to the signal as well. And let's see what that looks like. I mean, I like and I don't like what it's doing. Probably won't do it on a full drum bus, but let's kind of take it to the snare and let's kind of push it hard on the snare and let's see what that feels like. So I am going to bring this back to where I like my drum bus to be. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to add it to my snare top. Let's solo the snare. Okay. And then they obviously have a lot of presets in here. So here's Snare 57 preset, and you can already see they're boosting a lot and pushing it to the squash as well. Slower attack, and with the attack, also this is another thing, attack will help you control your transients. So a faster attack, it will start to affect your transients, and in a slower attack, it will preserve your transients and just work past the transients. So right here, let's grab that snare, maybe a little slower attack. absolutely amazing. It's actually mind-blowing that so easy in few seconds I can pull that plugin, and it's not just like making it adding a frequency. It's adding some and cutting some, and it moves along the snare, and it's changed with every hit. It's like automated EQ slash automated compression slash automated dynamics on that. The snare sounds more crisp, which what I would expect from that snare, as well as the muds are a lot cleaner, as well as I'm adding here some of that punch in the snare, the low frequency. So overall, let's play it one more time, and I'm going to push it even further. Even when I did not engage the compression, I love what it did. I kind of like with the compression on the snare, because I would normally compress the snare a little bit to control its dynamics, but I love what it did here. Okay, I have it also on a bass track. Let's kind of see what that would do on a bass track. So here's our bass track, and this is a synth bass. And I already have like a full chain of processing. Like you guys can see here, I have fat filter EQ. This is side chain. I have an 1176, and I have an R bass, and then I have a Fairchild compressor. So I already have like full chain processing, which I kind of like how the bass was sitting. So let's gonna play this. So let's play it again now with Bloom. You can see what's doing already on the graph. It's adding a little bit of the 1K, which helping a little bit with the definition of that bass to cut through. So especially because it's a synth bass, so it doesn't have a lot of those mid-range in it. And it's also adding a little bit of sub at like 20 and 30, and then it's cutting some off the top end. I'm gonna push it harder. You can see what I did is I kept pushing this, and I'm noticing it's not compressing yet. It's probably because the signal going into it wasn't loud enough, and I just hit the squash calibration. So that way you can adjust it. It kind of auto calibrates, or you can override it manually, and then like I want more signal to hit in, so it kind of compresses even further. So, and I used it, the way I used that bass in my setup here, I used it to add more grid and punch to the bass. So I'm gonna turn off that snare one. And then I'm just gonna solo bass and drums. And then let's kind of play just bass and drums. Let me grab it here. And then what I'm doing is I'm going to turn Bloom off on bass and drums and see the difference now added to both bass and drums together and what it does. So everything is cleaner. It has less low mids in it. It creates more space for the rest of the instruments coming in, as well as it has more punch. The kick has more definition. The bass has more punch. And all of that is just with that one plugin. I mean, it's absolutely incredible what you could do with it. It's really mind-blowing, and it's very simple. So I normally don't like plugins that like has one knob and you turn it and then it does everything for you, because I want to be in more control over what is being done. I also want to see what's happening. But with this one is a little bit different because I got more control. I can see what's being cut. And if it's, for example, boosting something in the bottom end that I don't like, I will just go in here and then tell it, don't touch this. Or for example, the bass, let's pick the bass. You can see it's cutting a lot of the top end. Anything past 4K, it's being cut, or it's being dropped down. I can just basically grab this and tell it, don't process anything past 2K. And that way I'm preserving that frequency and I'm not having to worry about it. Okay, let's kind of keep going to kind of see more usage of this. So I have it here else on my session. Okay, I have it on the acoustic guitar. So here's an acoustic guitar. So it's a stereo acoustic guitar, left and right. It's a double-tracked acoustic guitar, and then I have it bussed to a stereo bus, and then I put the Bloom on the stereo bus of the acoustic guitar. I'm gonna turn it off. Here's just without it. So you can see what's doing around 8K, it's boosting more, so it's adding more crisp to the acoustic. And then around 1 and 2K, it's actually changing up and down depending on what's being played and the frequency, where the fret is. And then it's cutting some in the low mids to clean up the acoustic guitar. And I told it here, I don't want any processing below 30 because I noticed it was adding a little bit and I didn't want this. So I kind of pushed that back, and I'm pushing it almost borderline. It did not compress yet. It gave me the gentle, subtle punch and cleaning a little bit of low mids off the acoustic that makes it cut through my mix a little bit better because I have my drums and bass and all my stuff. Absolutely love what it is. So this top end that is being added, I'm not even pushing it. It's actually doing it on its own because it feels like it needs it. And then and you can see I'm cutting some low mids and high mids on purpose because I want it to clear those frequencies and create some space for my other instruments. Okay, let's see, where else do we have it in here? Vocals. Let's take it on the vocal track. Okay, so here's the singer. Here's just a couple lines. And then I'm gonna leave Bloom on and you'll see what it did to the vocals.
Even when I attempt to be careful, all of this effort, what is it worth?
So you can see, so with that vocal take, I was struggling with, in specific notes, I was getting a lot of 200 and 250. I was using dynamic, and I am actually using a dynamic EQ from the Fat Filter, but it was not doing it for me. When I put Bloom on it, what it did is start to carve those, and I pushed the amount a little more so I can carve those real quick and then add that little bit of top end, but it doesn't stay there for all the notes. The notes that feels a little dimmer or a little darker, it kind of boosts those, and the outcome was absolutely incredible.
Even when I attempt to be careful, all of this effort, what is it worth?
It made it less muddy. It makes it cut through a little bit better, and it added a lot of crisp in a subtle way, not like too much, but it's enough crisp for this to cut through my mix and not having to worry about it. Absolutely love what it did. On electric guitar, I actually haven't put it on the electric yet, but let's kind of do it here together. So I have an electric bus that has all of these guitars together. So it's already adding somewhere in the 20 and 30s, which I don't want that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to tell it only start to process past maybe 125. And then I don't want that top end that is being added as much. So I'm just going to pull that down a little bit. maybe pull this down here. So don't process past 8K. And let's try it again. So most what I'm getting is the 500 and the 2.5K. So 500 cleaning some of the mids for the electric, which creates a lot of space for the vocals and other instruments. And then the 2.5K, which is more of the harsher frequencies on the guitar, and it's cutting a little bit of that. It's not cutting as much because I already have actually Soothe cutting some of that for me, but I kind of really like where it is. It's subtle. Subtle, cuts through a little bit better, and then I love what it sounds like. Well, let's go here and let's kind of play drums, bass, and guitars and keys together. So because of the subtle changes that we made, you can tell, for example, drums is tighter, the snare cuts through really well, the bass cuts through very well, and then I can also tell the difference on my acoustic guitar and my electric. They cut through the mix really well, and they're being separated a little bit from my grand piano. So I'm not using Bloom on my grand piano right now. Anyways, this is kind of a wrap of a really quick review of what my first impression, what I think about this plugin. I've been using it now for a couple weeks. It's really incredible, and it has a lot of potential to it. It's subtle, but it can't not be subtle if you want to push it further, and it has a little bit of a compression to it if you push it harder, and then it really carves and it does the work for you, and it's very simple and it's very quick to get to great results. That for me to would have gotten this results, I would have had to have multiple dynamic EQs, and then also being automated where when that EQ is kicking in and when it's not kicking in. So I hope this was helpful for that plugin. I hope if you have any questions about this session or about that plugin, make sure you put it in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. And if you like this video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next video.